you very much for coming. Thanks for the support that you're giving A1. Thank you for the support that you're giving me. It really means the world to me. And it means the world to many people, because there are a small group of us that are fighting, and fighting as hard as we possibly can, doing what we know how to do. Unfortunately for the movement, the only thing I know how to do is talk. I'm very good at it.
Well, we did that too.
Always up for good talkers. So that's essentially my role here. My role is to educate. I'm trying to educate as many people as possible to a solution that is going to help us going forward. And I believe that A1 presents that solution, if not in entirety, then certainly in many great parts. And I think many people here are probably aware that A1 are not going to be the party that we are used to seeing when it comes to political parties. In fact, A1, I think, has great potential to be a world-leading party. Whether or not Riccardo chooses to lead that party after what is going to happen with the military coming forward, we all hope will happen with the military coming forward. Whether or not he chooses to lead after that, nobody really knows. His job is very much focused on that interim period, and I think tonight, without having spoken to him, I think tonight he is going to throw bomb after bomb after bomb, because we're not going to see him for a while. He mentioned last week that tonight would be the last show that he was going to do with us for a little while, and that's simply because he is busy. Inverted commas. I can't tell you what he's doing because I don't know. He has indicated he has a lot of studying he has to do. He has a lot of research that he has to do. And there is a lot of training he has to do. He has been doing a great deal of that now for months. I can tell you that he does nothing except look after Rhiannon and sit in front of a computer all day, studying and occasionally writing a few pages for what I suspect will be the next book. But he is working unbelievably hard behind the scenes to make sure that we can achieve what we need to achieve. And the only way we can do that is by waking people up. Now, all of you are woken. All of you are at least semi-awake or wide awake, as much as we can be awake to what we think is going on. I don't need to convince you. I don't need to convert you. Riccardo doesn't need to convince or convert you. What we need to do is give you a tool to get more people to come to events like this, to let us present the truth and see whether or not we can convince them. There aren't going to be many people that we can't convince, but there will be a core group that just refuse to accept what's happening. And that's going to happen to all of us. It could be our sons, our daughters, our mothers, fathers, uncles, grandparents. Somebody in your family is not going to accept what's going to happen, and you're going to be left to explain it. My job, or what I see as my job, is to give you the tools to explain that easily, give the people you're explaining it to the tools to go and find the truth themselves. Because the biggest issue, and I'm sure you've all faced it when you're trying to talk to somebody who's not quite as awake as you, or who is damn well asleep, and they mock you, they belittle you, and eventually they defriend you. All that's going to change. They're going to come back. And we can't be bitter about that, because we are, after all, a lot further up the road than they are. We've had our period of shock and awe. We've seen what's happened, we've accepted it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this room. If you didn't accept what was going on already, you wouldn't be here. You'd be one of those unconvinced outside. So we've got a great group here, a great and growing group, Belinda and Peter were telling me earlier. Ipswich, another huge group. There are some folks from ESC here tonight who I've seen earlier. They've got a group. There we are, just down here. They've got a group. They want me to come over to ESC in a couple of weeks' time. So we will sort all this out. But we want to give you the tools that give you the confidence to say, read this, watch this, go to this website. And very shortly, the Voice of Freedom website will go live. It's not up on that graphic, but there will be one later, vofhq.com. In there you'll find everything from Magna Carta 1215 lessons through to what we do here with Riccardo, through to what I do with other freedom fighters around the world. And you will find out first what's going to happen with the Aussie Cossack in the not too distant future. So I can give you a little bit of news on the Aussie Cossack. Very quietly last week, it was Thursday, I think, from memory, they quietly went into court and tried to get him bail before the appeal, which is coming up on the 13th of September. Mrs. Cossack was very excited about the thought that she'd be able to get him out. I told her not to be too excited, and the judge reinforced that. So he's staying inside. They have moved him out of segregation, but he is still in a cell by himself and does not get to mix with other prisoners because they do not want him inciting them, encouraging them, educating them. There are a whole heap of words they don't want him to use in there, right? How many people have sent the Aussie Cossack a postcard? No? Jesus, you're bloody slack. I tell you what, he's received thousands of them. Lift your game. I'm sure he wants to hear from the people in Toowoomba. Now, we've done that for two reasons. The whole postcard campaign was done for two reasons. One, I thought, if you're going to go to jail, it might be nice to get some mail, and it might be nice to get a lot of it every day. And in radio, that's what we do. If somebody's having a bad day, we run a campaign. Let's send you a birthday card. It's easy. Very simple to do. Makes everybody feel good. The unintended consequence of doing this for the Aussie Cossack was bringing the mail system of the New South Wales Justice and jail system to a complete stop. I don't know if you're aware of it. What happens in the justice system when you send mail in, every article of mail has to be photographed, photocopied, read, censored, and then the inmate gets the photocopy. They don't get the original, they get the photocopy. They stopped serving the Cossacks postcards to him because they simply ran out of manpower to do it. They were spending all day trying to process and photograph and do everything to his mail. And they were delivering it by the bagful to his cell. So eventually they said, well, we're not going to do that anymore. He went a week without getting any mail whatsoever, and then somebody in the corrections system relented, and from what I hear, 7 bags of it were delivered to his cell. So this makes the Aussie Cossack very happy. According to Mrs. Cossack, at least, that's where I get my news through. He talks to her for 6 minutes a day. He was initially allowed to talk to her as many times as he wanted to, but now it is a to the second 6-minute phone call he gets once a day with her. She went to see him for the first time on Sunday, last Sunday. I haven't spoken to her yet. She'd been trying to get in and see him the last 3 weeks, and it didn't work out. So they stopped it at the very last minute each time. So this time I believe she actually got in there, so I'm due to have a talk with her tomorrow evening. So with a little bit of luck, we'll find out what the Cossack had to say then. At the end of the night, I'm going to put up a little slide presentation. It is a list of names of those arrested and sentenced so far. Now, this list dates back to, I think it's November 2020, so it's quite old. I get asked a lot, can I prove the list? No, I can't. But I have no reason to doubt its validity. I'm not telling you to believe everything that comes out of my mouth. In fact, I'm telling you not to believe anything that comes out of my mouth. What we do is educate you on how to find your own answers. I'll pose questions and I'll give you a way you can go and find the answer. But my job isn't to give you the answer. And particularly for people like you guys, you've already got the answers. It's the normies out there that we've got to supply the answer to, but we can't force the answer into them. Nobody can learn this by having somebody else tell them about it. You have to go and do your own research. You have to go and follow up the things. For instance, we were talking earlier today, Belinda, you keep your hand down. The Tallahassee National Guard, who's heard of them? You remember last week's show, the first words that came out of Riccardo's mouth.
Let me just kick off with a shout out to our good mates. Now listen carefully. At the Tallahassee National Guard. You feel that warm sun on your shoulders, lads? It means days of summer. And stay cool because it's about to get hotter. So that's the shout out to my good friends at the Tallahassee National Guard.
Tallahassee is in Florida. That makes that the Florida National Guard. That makes it Donald Trump's National Guard. Did anybody bother to have a look and see where the Tallahassee National Guard is at the moment? They're in the Northern Territory. Some of them anyway. We know that because we've run the Tallahassee National Guard in Florida and they won't tell us shit. We've also got some other ways and means of finding that out. But be listening to what Rick says, because Rick is giving messages to others, okay? If you, this is the way it works, not just with Rick, but with everybody. They'll say something to you and you'll go, what? That sounds a bit stupid. And that's the point. It sounds stupid. You either go, I want to look into that and find a bit more about that. That sounds really weird. Or you say, well, that sounds too stupid to deal with, and you walk away. That's where they hide the secrets. Because most people say, I can't be bothered looking. So that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to give you the places to go and look, to learn, to read, to watch, and then to educate those people around you, to share those tools so that you can help bring the movement forward, bring more people into it, wake more people up. I know we just want to grab them by the ears and shake the shit out of them, but we have to be forgiving, because when this all comes down, there is going to be some very humiliated people, there is going to be some very angry people, and who do you think they're going to blame? They're going to look at us first because, you knew and you didn't tell us, or you should have told me more often, or you should have tried harder to warn me. So we need to be prepared for that, and we need to look at it lovingly and say, well, we did try, but we are here now. We will help educate you. You know, we are a big family. It's just a matter of joining the community. Speaking of the community, the Voice of Freedom, I'm really shocked, has built really quite a large following in the time it's been going. I don't follow Google Analytics or YouTube Analytics or any of that sort of stuff. I don't understand it. I simply do not understand it. I don't care how many people are watching. I don't really care how many people subscribe, other than the more people that subscribe, the more people are getting the message. That's all I care about. So tonight, we are streaming on 2 brand spanking new YouTube channels that have never seen a subscriber on them, because last week, Riccardo had me shut down. Every platform I own was pulled by Wednesday morning. Every platform. I think 8 of them I had. All of them gone. You're lucky you watch, well, you must have been watching the right stream, because the Nun 2K stream they pulled mid-stream, halfway through the show. So, as near as I can figure it out, the only other person they've done that to is Donald Trump, and that was the other day in Arizona. In mid-speech, pull the plug out. So, yes, it's been a interesting little time. We are planning on making a bit of a splash in the next few weeks, and part of what we want to do with the Voice of Freedom is get this message out 5 nights, 7 nights a week to people. I'm very happy to travel. I have no life or wife, makes it a lot easier. And I like driving. I like meeting people, and I can set this crap up every night and talk for as long as you want me to, and I am very happy to do it. We'll come to Wollongara. I will stop at any bend in the road, but it requires a little bit of money, folks, and that's why we're raising money. You can see us on our webpage, vofhq.com. There's a donate button there. I did have a little donate box here somewhere, but I must have left it in the car. If you wanted to give us a few bucks, great. If you don't, that's fine too. We want to get this message out. The only way it's going to get out is somebody getting on the road every night of the week, and we want to do that. So too, David Graham, Guru, wants to come on. Belinda, yell.
Your details are on the flyer.
Oh, my details are on the flyer. Such organisation. So you're sitting on my flyer. Provided you haven't stained it, you may see the email address. Or the website. If you can spare a few bucks, great. Anything would be great. It puts a few more dollars in the car for fuel at the moment, and that's really all I'm doing this for, to get to and home again. This isn't about making money for me, but I haven't got any money to afford to go and do it. So as long as I get my fuel covered, I really don't care. It's all good. I enjoy meeting people, and I'm happy to be part of this. I'm very, very motivated to play a role and to try and get others to come and play the role with us. So if you're one of those people, get in touch, because in the next few weeks we're going to need many of you, I think. It's sooner rather than later is my take on this. Riccardo's probably going to tell us a lot more about that tonight. And when I say Riccardo's probably going to tell us a lot more about that, I mean he's going to tell us absolutely nothing. He's going to smile and wink knowingly. That's about all he's going to do. But if you have questions for him, we will be more than happy to take those. People have the microphone. You don't have to eat the microphone. If you go into it really tight, you're going to sound like that. So you can sit back off it a little bit, and I can control the level back here. So we will make that hopefully a little easier for you. What I might try and do, we've got about 10 minutes before Rick gets in here. So I'll show you. You can see now up on the screen. This is the back end of what I use to get the show out. So you obviously never get to see that. You only see what happens inside the big square. This system allows me to bring up all sorts of different things. So you can see the slides there. If I want to bring up one of my favourite images, because we're all so proud of Hunter Biden. His father must be so proud, don't you think? I mean, you know, just to get a good look at it. That's actually quite eerie, the way that screen is moving behind it. It looks like it's sort of wobbling a bit. Oh, I've just done another line. So yeah, that's dear old Hunter Biden. Of course, not the only family that's got problems. The Queen's got her own issues.
And I'm a lizard.
Has anybody ever wanted London Bridge more in their life? Ever wanted to hear those two words more? London Bridge. I mean, not that we wish the old lizard dead, but, well, we do. But let's be honest. No point in not being honest. So there are a few little things here. What am I throwing up here? I'll try and... Oh no, that one won't work for you. This is a pretty interesting one. Now, I don't know that you can see that from where you are, but this is, in fact, the recalling of votes for Wisconsin. This is the Democrats or the Republican Party and the Democrats in court getting votes returned. There is, I heard this morning, 46 states have said they are going to recall their electoral votes. Why that hasn't actually happened, or why it hasn't made mainstream media yet, is the key. The fact that the Supreme Court have already made the decision on the validity of the US election has also eluded the mainstream media. But I think, oh, completely, 100% by design. I can tell you, by design. And this is one of my favourite photos of all time. That's apparently what was on the note that the group received at George Bush Sr.'s funeral. They sat down, opened up the record of service, and there was an envelope inside for Hillary, for the Obamas, for the Bidens, and that's what it said. They know everything, I'm sorry. And if you watch as George Bush Sr. is wheeled out of the church, and you see his son, Jed, standing there with his hand on his heart, and his wife is reading the document, and she looks at the coffin, she looks at the document, she looks at Jed and holds it to him, and he's got his hand on his chest looking, oh, there's Dad rolling out the door, and reads that, and his jaw drops on the floor, his hand falls away from his heart, and he just stares at the coffin as it's wheeled out like, you arsehole. So I find that one of the most gratifying shots that I've found in quite a long time. This is obviously the bastard that we really have to come and deal with. Now, there are so many stories about Klaus Schwab. The story is that Klaus Schwab and a number of others were taken off planet before Christmas last year. They have been, if you believe the stories, they have been sent to a prison colony somewhere on Jupiter. and they left via a gate, a starway gate in Antarctica. The woman who was running the World Bank was part of that as well. There were about 3 or 4 of them were called down to Antarctica just before Christmas for a big meeting, and nobody's ever come back. So yeah, there's been leaks about a Stargate down in Antarctica for a long time. There's also been a lot of stories about flat Earth. Who's heard those? Yeah? What do we think?
PSYOP.
Whatever.
So,
Whatever.
I'm very much a fence sitter on this one. But I have had a long conversation today with a man on the way here. I was driving, who is very much into the flat Earth theory, and we will have him on the show in the next couple of days or weeks to try and explain how it's meant to work. I also have another bloke that will come on and tell us that it's all a CIA psyop. So there are 2 sides to every story. Somewhere in the middle will be the truth, and fingers crossed we will potentially find that. Well, folks, it looks like the man himself has arrived. You can see down the bottom of the screen a smiling Riccardo Bosi. So I will play around here just a little minute. Would you like to say hello to him before we go live, folks? Yes. All right. Let's say good evening to Mr. Bosi. Good evening, sir.